kid-friendly route when it came to video games, and I think the reason that they're even still relevant today is because their insane track record of bangers. But it's also pretty common knowledge just how laughably terrible the business side of the company is, getting involved in multiple scandals, controversies, whatever the hell this is, you name it. Even with their infamously strict rules and regulations, Nintendo has slipped up and stirred the pot quite a damn bit. So I researched a lot of Nintendo's history and wrote down every single controversial thing that the company has done or been involved with that I found even remotely interesting, from both real-life problems and in-game stuff, and I constructed this big-ass chart. If you're above 50, an iceberg chart is essentially just a big tier list of little trivia and factoids that go from basic common knowledge to obscure and sometimes even weird or creepy. So sit back and relax as I walk you through the Nintendo Controversies iceberg chart. Give me that fucking thing, that battle pack. Who fucking fucking keep eating and drumming, bitch? Give me that. No, I ain't feeling, I don't give a fuck. But I'ma take it like this, bitch. You better not walking from my door, fuck. Give me that fucking thing, that battle pack. Who fucking keep eating and drumming, bitch? Give me that. No, I ain't feeling, I don't give a fuck. But I'ma take it like this, bitch. You better not walking from my door, fuck. Mario Party Tug of War. When Mario Party 1 came out in 1998, it pretty much opened the floodgates immediately to both the argument-starting push that is Mario Party and also the minigame Tug of War. In this 1v3 minigame, both teams must rotate the joystick as fast as possible to pull the other team to their well-deserved demise. But people realized you can actually spin the stick faster by using the palm of your hand, which ended up giving people extreme blisters just from this one Mario Party minigame, which led to lawsuits, which is a Nintendo staple. So much so that Nintendo had the genius idea to give out special gloves to customers to fight back against blistering. Yes, Nintendo gave out gloves for a Mario Party minigame. And in every Mario Party since that Tug of War has made a reappearance, the instructions of the game now include a little warning advising players to not use their palms. So long, Gay Bowser. A huge debate that's been going on for literal decades at this point is, what does Mario say when you throw Bowser in Mario 64? So long, Gay Bowser. Which led every human under the sun to hear "So long, Gay Bowser." So long, Gay Bowser. Spawning so much notoriety and memes that it essentially became like pseudo-canon. However, the now former voice of Mario, Charles Martinet, confirmed that the line was instead "So long, King Bowser." So long, Gay Bowser. When Mario 64 was re-released in the Mario 3D All-Stars game, the "So long, Gay Bowser" line was just straight up replaced with a much more boring and simple "bye-bye." Mario Kart 8 Booster Course Pass quality. 10 years after the release of Mario Kart 8, Nintendo dropped the bombshell announcement that 48 additional courses were going to be added to the game, doubling it in size. Which was amazing until people actually saw the courses for the first time and... Yeah, so the Booster Course Pass was pretty obviously used by taking assets directly from Mario Kart Tour, a mobile game that looks like ass, and porting them to the console, which makes just a jarring comparison of the photorealistic base Mario Kart 8 game with the graphics of the Booster Pass. Over time, the backlash became so extreme that Nintendo even went to go tweak a few stages. Keyword being a few free updates. During the Switch lifespan, Nintendo strived for a new business strategy of releasing games purposely with missing content that they would then release over the coming months as free updates and DLC as a way to keep their games alive. However, this pretty much had the exact opposite effect, because instead of this being a way to prolong a game's lifespan, it just shortened it. Because now when you bought a new Nintendo game and you're shown the lackluster amount of content, didn't care when those free updates ended up coming out. ARMS, Nintendo's newest fighting game IP, launched with only 10 fighters, which even then just later became 15. Kirby Star Allies introduced little helper characters known as allies, and there's almost 40 of them in the game. Guess how many there were when the damn thing released? 3. Pretty much every Mario sports game has had this problem of introducing new characters months after release. And probably the most aggravating example of this was when Mario Maker 2 happened, which essentially was just the first game with just an extra style and just like a new item or two here and there. Kind of just, it pretty much was a port. But then, several months later, the game then got an update with the ability to create your own world that you can travel between and essentially make your own full-on Mario game. But since they introduced this so late in the game's lifespan, nobody gave a shit anymore. Which this feature certainly would have locked in more sales for the game, but just no one knew about it and nobody cared because they all moved on. Nintendo still does this updating game shtick to this day, except now it costs money. Fantastic. YouTube OST copyright. In a signature business move from Nintendo, they decided to copyright and take down over 90% of all videos on YouTube that show their game's OST. Playlists, Zelda game soundtracks, Mario Kart soundtracks were all removed off of YouTube almost simultaneously, which didn't stop people from just re-uploading. Pokemon Sword and Shield Right. When it was announced that a mainline Pokemon game would be coming to Switch, fans were justifiably hyped, with mainly its biggest reason being that this is the first ever mainline Pokemon game in HD, as well as the first console Pokemon game since the Wii U only had spin-offs. But when Sword and Shield released, fans were met with one of the most unfinished, buggy, and just flat-out terrible games ever, where the graphics were worse than that they had been on previous entries in the handheld. Look at this tree. That's a tree from the game Fire Emblem Curtain Sensation. In Fire Emblem Awakening, there was a quick scene showing a sort of renewed image of the character Tharja,